Larissa, let us know who you are.
Yeah, so I am Larissa Haynes. I am an executive coach and talent consultant. First 10 years of my career, though, was spent in securities fund servicing and doing account management and sales there. So I realized that I was not meant for being squished into that box and decided to break free and kind of help other people realize who they are and how to use their natural talents to get more out of their work and their life. So that's who I am.
Yeah. Love it. Jordana.
I'm Jordana. I am a sales coach. I am the founder of a coaching consultancy called Spring Training. And I think a big part of what I do is I help people to be more authentic and more like human beings in their selling. And I lead workshops for sellers and also for organizations and teams.
Awesome. Awesome. Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick Downs, the king of swing, the podcast host without the most, the living embodiment of the smiling teardrop emoji, and I also happen to be the sales enablement manager at PandaDoc.
Todd, you're gonna have to top that.
I'm Todd, and I have 8 kids. Top that, Francois. So I am a multiple-time startup founder. I've exited 4 companies successfully. I have an offshore virtual team offering that I offer to people building influencer, primarily targeted to influencers. And so we build podcasts for people, we build courses for people, and we do all sorts of good stuff like that. But honestly, I just kind of wrangle my kids around and try and keep my employees happy, and that's all I do.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, Santiago, the stage is yours. Looking forward to hearing about what you're building, how we can help you. Take it away.
Thank you, Francois, and everyone. So I'm Santiago. I'm a software engineer, and I'm decided to start my own startup. So from the start, I think the experience of Todd is super valuable. And I'm particularly interested in artificial intelligence. The thing is that in 2018, there was this great breakthrough on how computers understand language. And for the first time, we are able to build mathematical models around it. So I believe the technology has a great upside, and I want to build a product around it. And in the meantime, using this technology, I'm solving a personal problem that I have. Since I'm an engineer, usually most of our work goes behind the scenes. We are kind of in small teams collaborating with a small number of people, and I don't have this influence or this reach or this distribution system that I can leverage to build my company and sell my products. In particular, Twitter is a very easy format to work with in terms of text. And also the way to get that text is relatively easy. And it's also a great social network for tech startups. There's a lot of people in tech that love Twitter almost as much as Clubhouse. And so I'm building this dashboard that I like to think of it as a strategic dashboard to think consciously how to grow an audience, how to understand who is listening to you, and how you can provide the best content, the best message for you, for them. I just launched the first version on early January, and I'm still on, a lot of my time still goes into product development. My best outcome would be, we could do a script, that would be great. But my best outcome is you as an expert and I as a complete beginner, walk me how I could sell my product. How can I close sales in my product?
So I guess, and maybe you're going to explain this, Santiago, but I think what would be helpful for all of us right now is what is the first step you're taking in terms of, are you approaching people? Like, do you have kind of an ideal customer profile? Like, hey, Todd and Jordana are people I think would be a good fit for my product. Obviously they're on Twitter, I'm assuming, first of all, that's the first criteria. Second of all, I see they're trying to grow their audience. And then I guess it's, you probably direct message them maybe first. and then you're kind of saying, okay, now I get them maybe on a Zoom call or on a phone call. What's my pitch maybe? You probably have a price. You probably have like a bunch of value features. So would you say that's kind of the stage you're at? It's like when I get Larissa on a call, now I have to convince her?
It is correct. The process of getting calls has been relatively easy at the moment.
Okay.
Like it's not a great pain. And yes, the pricing is set, the value proposition is set, the persona is set. And at the moment is closing that the person, that in this 30-minute call that we have, the person sees the value in the product. And also a very important part of software is that they will need to change their habits. They will need to start on a daily basis. They will normally go with their day without the product. And now they will have to incorporate their product into their routine.
Okay.
So it's kind of a behavioral change, as an educational change that I'm also intended to trigger in the person. Because the free trial, everyone accepts the free trial after the call, everyone. But it's the thing that they can really understand how the tool works and how they can incorporate it and use it on a daily basis so they can turn into customers.
So what does everybody think here? I'm wondering if, and Santiago, I don't want to put you in the hot seat, but too bad you're there. I'm wondering if like essentially just a role play where one of you folks gets to be the customer. You know, Santiago's talked to you, maybe he's convinced you about the free trial, and then let's maybe go through that motion of what that conversation looks like, and then we can kind of break that down. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Santiago?
Great.
Yeah. So go ahead, Todd. Go ahead.
In my opinion, I think that, you know, you've got a SaaS product, you've got a sales trainer for a SaaS product on this call. Like this seems to me like a complete dream team for Santiago, because you've got Pat down here who knows what metrics you're going to need to hit. He knows what kind of commission levels you're going to need to be able to offer. You know, Santiago, my initial thought is with your product at, is it $50 a year?
For the first 100, yes. It's super cheap.
So you're not going to be able to find a salesman willing to sell it, because they'd have to take 100% of your annual commission to even get them to want to take one call. And so you got to think in terms of, where does my pricing need to be in order to get a salesman to want to even sell this, because their commission's going to need to be worth it for them to take the time to take the call.
Okay.
Right, Pat?
Yeah. I mean, when you're done with this first 100, what is the price going to be of the product?
The competencies, the other companies is around $30 per month.
Okay. So fairly low cost.
Fairly low cost, yes.
Can the deal ever get bigger than that, based on like volume of seats or some sort of volume that you could do?
What I have been doing is offering consulting services. It's a 1 month 4-session consulting service as an onboard, and that could grow, but that's about it. Potentially, but not on 2021. Maybe 2022, 2023, I could start offering higher tiers with more technology around it, but it's not the plan on the near term.
Can this be sold via chat?
How come via chat?
Because then you could have one salesperson handling 5 or 10 potential buyers of the product to get them into demos and then get them to convert after that. I don't know.
Jordana, you had a question? And then Larissa?
Well, I think that's a very good question, but I was just going to ask, are there a lot of competitors in the space, or I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know, or is this a kind of new technology or new offering?
There are enough competitors for the product to be marketable, not that many for me to be worried.
Okay, can I as a follow-on from that, can I ask, what is it like, why you over everyone else, would you say, in the space?
Particularly is because on the roadmap is the application of this NLP technology, that it's basically It's going to understand what the language is, what you are saying, and provide insights based on what you are saying. So it's basically on the technology, but I need to start from somewhere, and I need to start selling and building. So it's
Yeah, no, I'm not asking as a way to ask, you know, is it worth doing this? I'm just thinking, all right, what is it that would compel someone, let's say, to choose this product over, and that can help to shape the messaging. But that makes sense. So it's really, it sounds to me like this is a kind of new technology that analyzes the language, the words they're using in the tweets they're making to what?
To deliver a better message. Because we all are multidimensional persons, and perhaps specifically you may have an interest in certain aspect of your life as books or something else, but the content that really hitting your audience, that's really making them engaging, is your sales content, or perhaps are really the cold messaging content. And in that way, the tool will understand that that is the value that you are giving the most. So you can start moving your value to your, moving your content towards what your audience seeks.
Got it. Okay. And that's towards the words. So let's say, I don't know, if horse is a word that comes up a lot and those posts are getting a lot of engagement, then the software would say, talk more about horses.
Exactly.
Cool. Just wanted to.
Larissa, you had a question?
Yeah. So when I was going through all of it and now listening to you, what's coming up for me is the idea of sort of like channel sales or affiliate partnerships. Have you considered that at all?
What I want to say is my goal is not to make this, I just started make this a hugely profitable business. I just want to make my first 100, 200, 500 sales, so I can have enough usage of the product so I can better build the product. Right. At this moment, I'm not thinking about the dollars, the immense revenue. So that's why the meetings is the thing that I find is the best conversion rate. Even if I understand that when I hit the 1,000 customer, is no way I can uphold that. Now, having said that about the affiliate marketing is, yes, I've considered, but that seems like I need to learn much more about it. And I just want to take the quickest steps into making that first 100 sales.
Okay. The only reason I'm thinking of that is, you know, you've got this really great price point for these first 100 people who you could essentially turn into champions of your product, right? Mm-hmm. And get them in as sort of early adopters or founders or however you want to call it, and train them also on your model, or at least target people who maybe are already doing some kind of Twitter coaching to say, hey, yeah, you know, I'm doing this, and I know your model is reply, tweet, discover, right? That's sort of your 3-step based thing. Pretty, I don't want to say it's simple, you know, simple, not easy. You got to do the work, but maybe those first 100 people who you look for are Uber users who are doing some coaching, who then can become your champions to then go out and become your affiliate partners to say, hey, you know, it's $30 a month. You're going to give them a kick, whatever that looks like. Not here to do that, but the idea of how do you get it out in the network faster, that's just what I was thinking of when I'm hearing this.
I totally agree with you, and I've already identified some persons that, yes, they are very good at tweeting, they understand the platform very good, and they are also in this tech space that they can be engaged in making an extra couple bucks, like just by referring a product they love. And my problem is a little one step behind. So I'm a founder, and this product has been grown with a methodology that I've been understanding about Twitter, about coaching. So here, the problem is, first I need to be able to sell the product for other people to be able to sell the product.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd, go ahead.
In my opinion, this is a non-salesman related sale. Like, this is kind of like I don't see this as a big, tough negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
I see this as a very, very simple, they're going to get a free month or free 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get people like, dude, this is cool. And then they're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're overthinking the sales aspect of this product. I think that 100 sales should come in an hour, not in a month. Like really, like you should be able to easily get people to go in for a free trial on this thing, because if you could AI my Twitter responses, that'd be awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I charge a lot of money to run people's LinkedIn profiles, you know what I mean? And so if you can AI this thing on Twitter, that's cool.
That's cool. I agree. I understand it's not difficult. I totally agree with you. So being this easy, how would you that's what I want. 100 customers, get some income, just have some enough income to continue push the product and improve the product. So understanding this is very easy because this is very low priced, because this has a huge upside. How would you get just only those first 100 customers like in an hour?
Record a video. Oh, go ahead, Jordana.
No, go ahead, Todd, and then I'll jump in. Yeah, go ahead.
Record a video, put it on a landing page with a registration link, and you just use your AI bot on Twitter to go after Twitter users. Like, can't you just AI communicate people to drive them to your little video page and just say, sign up? Like I mean,
Santiago's like, wait a minute, my product helps sell my product.
I mean, seriously, that's what I would do. This is like, you're going to go after people that use Twitter on Twitter. And so why not just AI your way into Twitter coaches and Twitter influencers and be like, hey, I can automate your whole day and now you can go be with your family for once.
Love it. Be with your family. Okay.
Go ahead, Larissa. You have something to say?
Yeah, and it's so funny because Todd, totally agree with you. Like, targeting Twitter users. The other users are LinkedIn users. There's this like rivalry between Twitter and LinkedIn. And look in those threads on Twitter of people that are like bashing LinkedIn, because people like me are going to come in and be like, no, it's great, you know? And those of us where all of my time is LinkedIn and I'm trying to get better at Twitter. I'm already sold, dude. I'm buying this already. So,
but I want to make sure I understand. Sorry, Jordana, I know you had a comment or question, but you know, kind of to Jordana's earlier question, I just want to make sure I understand, Santiago, and maybe you can explain this better if you show it to us. But and I'll think of it in the context of LinkedIn, which I think all of us are way more active on than Twitter. Are you saying, again, let's say your product worked with LinkedIn, you would tell us, look, these are the things you're saying on LinkedIn that are resonating, so you should double down there? Or are you actually, to Todd's point, kind of taking the handlebars and saying, I'll start responding to your comments?
Yeah, responding to the comments is not like at least the core part of where I want to be.
Okay.
So it's 2022, maybe, but hey, that's why I need the users, because I need to learn what people is looking for, what people finds valuable. And that's why I'm searching for these first 100 users, so I can get this paid interest on, hey, I need this, would be awesome to do this, and I can start building a more valuable product.
So what is the AI doing right now? Like, what is it actually doing on Twitter for us?
Nothing. At the moment, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
At the moment, what it does is takes let me start sharing the product.
I think you can share your screen.
Build the montage. Okay.
Because that's a tougher sale if it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
When I went in and looked, I don't know if any of you are using Shield. It felt very similar to kind of some of the information that Shield gives for LinkedIn on the dashboard. So I'm really interested to see if that's the case or if it's something different.
Have you heard of Shield, Santiago?
No.
Yeah, we can, whoever you want offline, we could show you. I mean, I think to Larissa's point, I use Shield. And you know, it lets me know, you know, these LinkedIn posts are doing, you know, it gives me all the analytics basically, way more than LinkedIn gives you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's just a high overview of how your day is. This is using healthcare UI technology, so it's fully mobile. And the most valuable part, that is where the AI first will enter, is in here in the growth stage. And here basically says, who do you want to start connecting, engaging, interacting, and what do you want to tweet? So at this moment, I'm taking an approach of a very straightforward approach of only having individual persons as the audience and having hashtags as the topics. Now, the reason I need these first 100 people is that I can start building the AI product that can understand what these individual people are saying and start segmenting in groups. So maybe some of my groups are startup founders, other people are marketing people, other people are tech gurus, etc. And I can really understand how my audience is composed based on my interactions with them. And the second part is at the moment I'm classifying my tweets based on certain hashtags, but ideally in the future, the AI will, not ideally, the AI will understand the content of the tweet so it can start labeling and get a much more in-depth and a much more aggregated analysis of my tweet.
I think it was Tom, was it you who suggested like getting a bunch of champions in?
Yeah, I think Todd was saying, get some champions, or maybe that was Larissa. And I think, Patrick's, right out of the gate was saying, this is more of a product led sale than, kind of to what Todd said, get that video up there that draws the picture or paints the picture of exactly what the product does. People have a sign up, like I'm hearing, I don't know if I'm using the right nomenclature, but like a really good funnel, if that makes sense, but kind of like, people watch the video, they sign up, they get their 30-day trial, and then every 5 days they're getting the messages reminding them of why this is amazing, maybe some analytics. And so by the end of the 30 days, they're like, yeah, of course I need to keep this thing. It's doing all these 15 amazing things, but no human ever was part of that.
As much as I hate marketing, typically, I think this is a marketing play and a product play rather than a sales play. Like, get a wait list up, like shut your website down, get active on Twitter and start marketing it there. Maybe invest a bit into advertising. Say that the first 100 people that use your platform will be on a freemium model. Then everybody after will use this. Create some like exclusivity around it, and then have a chat on the website that you can process through. And if you have to interact with people, you just do it through chat. I wouldn't do any direct sales the first 100, and I would recommend maybe just giving it away, especially because it's going to be so helpful for you to actually develop the product.
Right.
I agree with you, Patrick, that on the long run, this is a marketable product, but I would maybe, based on what I've experienced, disagreeing that the first 100 sales will come from marketing. I do think, based on my very limited and potentially not very experience in sales, that I do need to work with the user.
So you're feeling like unless you're holding their hand kind of in the onboarding, they don't really understand the full value. Interesting. So back to Patrick's approach. Have you heard of, and a few companies have done this, like I'm sure you've read around Buffer's story, where they kind of start with a landing page that has some mock-ups, and then you sign up for the beta, and then you kind of get led through a bit of almost like a survey that says, hey, Jordana, I see you're interested. Here's the 5 features we're building or we have. Which one's most important to you? And the point of that is if you can get 50 or 100 people to go through that and they say, this feature is what we really want, then you double down on that. Because right now, I don't know if you're getting that feedback, and if there's a bit of noise because of price or confusion, like, do you really know what the users want, I guess is what I'm asking.
It's a good question. So the first user is me, because all this landing site works if you already have someone to promote the work. If I have a big Twitter account that I say, hey, go to my landing site, check this out. Hey, I have 30,000 connections in LinkedIn. Everybody check out. That funnel works for those kind of people that are not engineers, that are not close to a bound person of connections. That works for them. But for the people that's just getting started, that doesn't have an influence, that, in my experience, that funnel does not work. And this is where the product
lose him.
Nope.
I think Santiago froze.
Goes in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you froze for a minute.
You're
Go ahead.
back.
So this is the product for people that does not have that initial audience to direct to a landing site, or maybe to spend like to direct them and start growing their audience. And I know the product works for me because I've grown with the product, but I just now to understand how to sell the product, how to make other people's that have this problem understand that they need this product.
Oh no, go ahead, Larissa.
I was just gonna, have you looked into ClickFunnels at all?
What is that?
So it's a company. So very similarly, I work with people who want to launch online programs that like you don't have a big audience. They're very passionate about what they do, but they don't know how to reach. ClickFunnels is a service that you can use. If you don't have that reach, obviously it's a paid for service. But it will bring kind of how Francois was talking, like through that funnel kind of thing of marketing it, getting it out there, getting in front of the right people so that you're not doing sales, but that you are marketing to the right people and it brings them through. That's a resource you might want to check out.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, Santiago, I mean, I'm not an ops person at all. And I think all of these suggestions about kind of how to get the word out are great. I just keep coming back to like the messaging, like what is it that, when someone arrives at the website and let's say it's all chatbot and there's no full-time salespeople or anything, like what is it that you can say to someone so that they understand immediately how this makes their life on Twitter better?
The best I've come up is deliver the right message to your intended audience. That's the best marketing material that I have at the moment.
And that's connected to using AI at this stage or not yet?
Not yet, not yet.
And do you feel like when you say that, Santiago, it typically people kind of go, okay, yeah, I get that, and no?
No, I needed to learn a lot. First, I mean, this was a new field to me. So I needed to first learn a lot. And second, I needed to do one-on-one coaching a lot. I needed to work with companies so they can understand the message behind it. And maybe I'm, so they could understand how to do it. But no, it's been a very long process, and that is why I'm trying to resume it in 30 minutes and trying to market that. For me, it seems impossible without human intervention.
I'm almost wondering, Santiago, like, I know it can be appealing to kind of get a like really crispy few word value prop, like deliver the right message. But I'm almost wondering if you can, even at this stage, just like really sloppily, but very kind of in real world terms, help us to understand how it makes people's lives on Twitter better. Because I feel like we could then engineer something that's a little crispier from there.
So what I usually start is by qualifying the person, by understanding where the person is in Twitter and what they are working. Why are they in Twitter? So based on that qualification, very rough qualification, I start sharing my own dashboard. So for instance, I will start sharing that for me, yesterday was a better day than the average because I had more likes, I had more replies, more visits, and also my engagement was slightly better than normal. So I usually start telling how I use the dashboard, and then I move to here where I explain what I do with the individual with this information. So what I normally...
I'm sorry, can I just pause you for 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
One of the thoughts that I have, and I think about this a lot, is like, so a lot of what you're talking about is kind of logical and metrics based. And I know how important for Twitter users that is. However, human beings typically make buying decisions fueled a little bit less by the mind and more by the heart. So I'm even wondering, and maybe this is cheesy, if you were to like start a phrase like, imagine a world where, not for your marketing content, but just for the exercise, like what is the world that this product on an emotional, very human experiential level would unlock for someone?
Larissa, I'm with you. And honestly, Santiago, I think more than any sales pitch or marketing design, what I would do is follow Francois' advice and just be like, or Pat said it, I can't remember which one he said it, but dump this on a bunch of users. Don't even tell them, like show them what the tool does and let them figure out how they want to use it and then regroup in 2 weeks. Because I think what you're going to find is that people are going to use it way different than the way you want to use it. And so I wouldn't put them into a box of where you think they should be using it. I think you say, here's what this does, and then step back and then watch and see what their user does. Like, are they using this for hashtag following information? Are they using it more for mentions? Are they using it more for whatever? See what metrics matter, because I think Jordana's going to have a totally different set of metrics she's looking at than I am. And Pat has weird metrics that are going to be super more beneficial than mine. But like for you to try to explain to them and mentor them and coach them is a waste of your time, because, you know, you don't want to get too involved in the way they're going to use it. Just let them do it.
I really like both insights. Like I love them. So then just trying to land this, I could say maybe on the call message, I will imagine the proposition that Jordana mentions. Like imagine a world where you are constantly growing your audience by 10% each month.
Wow.
Would you want to try this tool for 2 weeks? And in 2 weeks, I circle back with them, Todd, and I let them explain how they are using the tool with me.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And do it in a group call, Santiago. I wouldn't do them one-on-ones at all. I would have a user group, a community, whatever, a place where people can show use cases of how they killed it with this product and how it helped grow their audience, and then record it. And then as you get them recording it, telling it how cool it was to do this and that, there's your marketing materials for your website. You got a group of people talking about how much it's helped them grow their audience. This is awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so I sign up, let's say, a couple dozen people for 2 weeks, and I invite them to a user group,
or like a Zoom call like this, even maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go to tribe.so. It's free. Just set up a little community, a user community, and set up a way for people just to jump in and drop their truth bombs. Like, encourage people to drop a 30-second video on how they used it this week and how it helped them or whatever. Incentivize them with a lifetime membership, or I don't know. I mean, you got to think this is a massive volume play. This isn't, I want to get a couple of users here and a couple of users there. If you can get a few people to adopt to this for their growth, you're going to nail it. Like,
Thank you. I'm already, I know this strategy will work. So I'm immensely already grateful. Is there anything more we can still step up in the 20 minutes that are left to improve even better the sales process?
Well, I'm wondering, like, so would you say it's true that, you know, your ideal candidates are maybe, you know, established Twitter users that want to get to the next level, or they're new? And to Larissa's earlier point, like, as you know, there's a ton of weird, like, hate. It's not even love hate. It's mostly hate for some reason between LinkedIn and Twitter users, even though a lot of them are on both platforms. And I think, you know, secretly, a lot of them want to do well on both platforms. So I think a little, I don't want to say campaign, but, you know, using Jordana's very altruistic, you know, what if statement, I think going out on LinkedIn and saying, hey, look, I know a bunch of you are on LinkedIn, but have you, you know, if you're looking at growing your Twitter following, and you could probably try and target some of them, but saying, look, if you use my tool, I can help you get to X. And then, over a week or a month, or maybe not a month, but just, kind of plant that seed and let them say, look, you can get access to this free tool. I can, we want to get together and get feedback. So, but do you think those LinkedIn users are a target, or is it really, they're on Twitter and you can tell they're trying to grow?
LinkedIn is I'm from Mexico, and in Mexico, nobody uses Twitter. So I'm also a little, my local market, it's not existent. So part of the coaching I've been doing is been in LinkedIn, because as a software engineer, I've been very used to use LinkedIn for jobs. So definitely, I myself, I'm even more comfortable with LinkedIn than Twitter. So it's definitely a great strategy. But what I have found in LinkedIn is that the algorithm, or how LinkedIn works, is that it's much more geographically biased. In the sense that if my content, since my content is spread around all the world, really LinkedIn does not how to make that viral. And the second part with LinkedIn that I, at least in the beginning, experienced the problem is that for the kind of ideal personas that I thought about that were very tech intense, LinkedIn was not the place.
Interesting.
LinkedIn just doesn't, LinkedIn locks down their algorithm and their API significantly. You can't really introduce a product like this within LinkedIn very easily. The companies that are trying to do any kind of automation on LinkedIn, it's super kludgy and hacky, but some of them work. Most of them get shut down. Twitter, on the other hand, it's like, yeah, come in, just don't talk about Trump and you're good. So I think you can pretty much have your way with it.
Okay.
So I, kind of unrelated to this though, I went through your user guide, and it's really great. And it's a really great step-by-step of especially someone who's kind of starting out on any sort of social media. And I immediately thought, like, what a great free course. So yeah. I know that you're focusing on that, essentially that one-on-one coaching on how to really leverage Twitter. But I think maybe part of your marketing package could be to create a free course out of your user guide to help people who are like, hey, great, this is the introduction to this, maybe you can wrap it up in, however that works. But I genuinely think that would translate really great into a nice piece of value-packed free marketing.
Is the fact that I have an accent an issue on the free course?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Or maybe
and if you feel it is, you have another woman on your you have a partner, is that right? Yeah. I mean, maybe swap back and forth, get two different voices, but no, I mean, it's you. People, when we're talking about sales, they buy from you.
I like that. Okay. Okay. So trying to go in this a little bit more in depth in this course, in which part of the funnel will this course be? Because other thing, I cannot just start like bombarding my own Twitter with and again, I don't want to waste a budget just in ads. So in what kind of way would be very, let's say, smartly place this course so that the right users will be able to access it?
So that again, that's more marketing thing. And that I put ClickFunnels into the chat there. They actually do a lot with courses and using a free course as your lead magnet.
And that's right. Actually one of the products that we do for people as well. We actually build courses and host them for you. So like she's right on. Larissa's totally right on. A free course about this. And I would market it I would lead off with the product free trial and then automatically enroll them in your free course so that they can learn how to use it instead of a user manual.
And I think what, I don't know if it was Larissa or Todd was also saying is, or maybe Santiago, you were kind of going this route around, you don't want to just be pushing your product, selling. You want to kind of provide value and educate. So I think you can find this rhythm on Twitter and LinkedIn of saying, here's the reason people are on Twitter. Here's some interesting statistics. LinkedIn is great. This is why, and these are the people you can reach. And then, maybe in your second post or mention, you talk about how your product helps. But if you're always just, broadcasting my product, people may tune you out. But if 80% of your content is really interesting and providing some insight, people might follow you and tune in and they go, cool, okay, cool. And it's okay for you once in a while to promote how you can help them. But I think, sometimes people mix that balance of, they're just trying to like blare through the megahorn and pound people over the head with my product does this. And we're like, well, what's the context?
Well, that's such a great point, Francois, like kind of developing yourself as a thought leader. I mean, I know that word's a little cheesy in the space, and I'm wondering along those lines, Santiago, like, what are some interesting insights? Like, what do you have to teach your Twitter following about, not just about your product really specifically, but about gaining traction on Twitter? Because if you're able to share that really valuable content, separate from your product around best practices and things people might not know or ways that they could be thinking differently about growing their audience, then once people are bought into how you're thinking, you'll have developed that credibility and they'll be more likely to want to check out your product.
Totally. And again, I do have some, that's what the tool is, knowledge of what my audience find valuable. And I think that part I have relatively well covered. If I could go back with a question, when, again, I'm a beginner in this sales process, so my first interaction with someone that's an expert in sales, he started talking about email sequences and cold email, etc. And for me, it sounded like, I mean, there's a whole technology, there's a whole understanding of the technique, and for me, it sounded very valid. And even my pricing shifted into using that technology. But from what I'm understanding is that should really not be my focus, drafting an email sequence, not at all.
No, I think your users are on the platform, reach out to them there. I think, I see a lot of nodding, but I think like maybe in a year or two when you've got some signups and you're really trying to go to a different group, email and all that sequencing, that's there. But I don't know. I think everybody feels like your audience is already on the platform you're selling on, and or maybe LinkedIn. But personally, I don't think going and trying to buy or build an email list and doing outbound campaigns is gonna get you very far.
Okay, thank you. That's great because it wasn't, and it's great now that I have reassurance from another experts. Okay, so maybe here's what I'm thinking, just to wrap up, if I may, unless anybody else have a suggestion before I move on.
But my last little one kind of on that is like, this is one of the best things someone gave you, is write love notes to your ideal client. Like when your content is almost like a targeted thing to, hey, new Twitter user, I know you feel like you're putting so much time in, right? So when you're writing that content, writing it to them as if they're a friend of yours, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a love note. That was her language, and that was me.
No, that's
like pen pals, like that you're actually writing to those people on that platform, and that's gonna just start kind of bringing it in. There's an alchemy to that.
Santiago, I'd in addition to your love notes, just be careful how far you take that. But I would say you don't want to get too creepy. But I do think that in addition to your love notes, make sure that your beta users or the people in this beta team that are going to use the free offer, you make sure that they get on these calls with you, because that is your content for LinkedIn. You want to take a snippet of Francois saying, holy crap, I grew my audience by X% this week. This is amazing. Like, I didn't know it could do this. Boom, there's your 30-second snippet that you plug into LinkedIn or Twitter of people actually talking about their use case with your product, because, then you don't have to worry about your accent. You don't have to worry about anything. It's like, you're just like, dude, this is awesome. I had Pat talking about how PandaDoc grew 3% this year because they used my Twitter enhancement tool. Right, Pat?
Yeah.
So, but when you get other people talking about your product and you get them on a recorded line like this, just making sure you're recording the interview, and then take those snippets and plug them into everywhere you can, everywhere.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
That's why they get it for free.
Yeah. Repurposing the content. Agree. Okay, just to wrap up on the conclusion. So maybe just start contacting 10 people every day, offering the free trial, and maybe circle back with them first in 1 week with some educational content on how to grow their audience. Invited them in 2 weeks, maybe on that part of on the call, on the user meeting, on the user group. That is great. I have 2 more weeks to close the call, to close the sale. How would I close the sale? Like, I'm sure the value of the product will shine for itself, but what will be like a trick to really convert an ambiguous user into a paying user?
Well, can you scrape any of the data and do some automation in terms of an email? So Larissa signs up, and after, I don't know, 3 days of using it, maybe she has 4 more followers. Like, I mean, maybe it's as simple as, you know, your email campaign pulls her dashboard, sends it to her, and you have 3 arrows pointing to these analytics telling her this means this, because Larissa may not know. She's like, I don't know, I'm using the product. So like really just, and I think what a lot of us have been saying is kind of scaling this so that you're not going to Larissa and Todd and Jordana and Patrick, you know, they get an email every day with some analytics, and then you decoding them or, you know, basically convincing them every couple of days why your product is helping them.
Okay, great.
I would add to that because I love that. And then on top of it, because we got your data people and your field people, right? And adding in some really connective investigative questions there to say, here's your data. Now, you know, what does this mean to you? Think about how this has impacted, you know, any of those sort of like getting them in from the data into the emotion of like, okay, you see this. Now think back on that day. How did this impact you, right? So asking them some questions.
I really love that because going back to what Jordana said, if I can extrapolate, because it's 10%, 10% is relatively few. But if you escalate 10% through each month for a year, that's when really the value kicks in. And that's when you say, hey, I'm in here, but escalating 10% every month, I will be there. That's a buy at that moment. And that's a great buy. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating and helping and enlighten me.
I'm just going to say quickly, Santiago, that I really think the gateway to all of this amazing stuff that everybody is suggesting happens and how you kind of operationalize this is nailing your messaging and making it really compelling. And I think this idea, I'm actually even wondering too, and I don't want to take us off track, but are you targeting businesses or individuals or both? Both can benefit?
Both. I'm an engineer. I run a statistical analysis based on different personas and find the most useful ones, the most interested ones.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
it's like throwing darts on the dark.
Right. I mean, like something, and this is, you know, don't quote me on this. This is a little cheesy, but something like, what if like 10 more people could fall in love with your product every day? Like that being the prompter question, if you're going after businesses, something to help them connect with how you can take them from A to Z.
So Jordana, let me ask you this. So this is his landing page. He brought us to the dashboard. I'm curious from Jordana's perspective and everyone else's. Do you feel like this, and sorry, Santiago, we're going to be really hard on you, but do you think this isn't a ton, like this isn't confusing to me, but do you think it would be easier if it was a picture of someone, an actual user, and a quote, and maybe just an arrow going up saying, you know, Jordana went from 50 users to 1,500 users? Is that what I'm hearing, Jordana? Is, you know, that this doesn't stop you in your tracks. You want to, you know, whatever you want to call it, not simple marketing, but emotional, right? So somebody goes, oh man, like
something that compels someone, and data is usually not the thing that compels someone to purchase. Yeah.
So what we see, you can scroll down and get to that. But the first image people should see when they come to SocialQ is a happy person with a quote that's, you know.
Yeah, I think so. Celebrating like that they broke their follower milestone or whatever it is.
Yes, yes. Who is the person that I should look for that? Is that a copywriter, or who is the expert in those fields, like creating emotional connection with, from, let's say, from first sight?
It's a good question. I mean, you know, I think there's personally there's two routes. You know, you can pay someone to help you, or you can come up with, you know, 3 kind of samples that you put together, and you go to Twitter and to LinkedIn and ask people, like, which one makes you stop scrolling?
Like that. If I were to pay the person, what is the name of the professional that does that? That creates this?
There's a few out there. I don't know. Go for it, everyone.
There's social media marketing specialists all over the place. I mean, that's, like I said, I don't want to pitch my own thing here, but that's kind of what we do. So.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
I mean, I would say start on your own, like try and maybe come up with that, and then you can go to the copywriter. But I mean, go ahead, Jordana.
Well, actually, just along those lines of starting on your own, I mean, usually one of the coolest things I think about when the founder is the seller is there's a lot of authentic, like personal excitement. Like, what is it that excited you enough about this product to dedicate part of your life or whatever percentage to building it for other people? Like, so really tap into that. And I think that might be able to fuel your first couple of drafts.
Thank you.
How many followers do you have on Twitter, Santiago?
About 1,000.
Okay, so use your own self as a use case. Like, that's what I would do, is use your own self and just be like, okay, I went from 1,000 users to this much, and track the progress, show a snapshot every day. And you could like do a little hyperlapse thing, you know, with each screenshot of your dashboard each day and show it, you know.
Agree.
That's an awesome idea.
And I don't think, just to add something here, you know, I'd say the first page I want to land on is very simple, a picture, there's some emotion and you know, something positive. Then maybe the next, you know, screen that I scroll down to has something more technical. But I wouldn't shy away, Santiago, from selling who you are. You have an accent, that's fine. You know, you speak Spanish, I'm sure. Maybe you have some hobbies. Like maybe the third part of that page is, who is Santiago? Like, don't be afraid of that. I think people want to know about you, unless your hobbies are really weird.
Just writing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I know everybody's got...
They're not weird people at all.
Thanks everybody for making time. Larissa, Todd, Jordana, Patrick, Santiago, thanks for being in the hot seat. I'm going to end the recording. I'll post it shortly. I'll be tagging you guys on LinkedIn. And Santiago, I know it goes without saying, typically you can reach out to all of us as well later if you have something you want to follow up on. So have a great Friday, everyone, and a great weekend.
Thanks,
everybody. Thanks, Santiago.